Most organizations aren't struggling to find good technology. Most organizations are struggling to connect the technology together.
We have created a consolidated infrastructure where we have all these products under one single pane of glass.
And detection on the camera, human verification, alerting law enforcement as well as you guys, 3 to 5 seconds.
So a little bit about what we're going to be going over today. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into 2 separate technologies. We're going to be taking a very close look at hybrid cloud video surveillance led by the Verkada team. Over here we have Joy and Bradley with Verkada, and they're going to be running us through their platform. It does a lot of cool stuff, and they're going to run you through a live demo today. From there, we're going to be taking a dive into the AI gun detection platform known as ZeroEyes, led over here by Brent, which is an awesome feature that can go over your existing camera systems and integrates with Verkada very well. From there, we're going to talk about how these technologies can integrate together and how Warner Communication fits into that as your integrator.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Joy. I'm the channel sales manager for Verkada in the Midwest. So I work with our great partners like Warner Communications, along with ZeroEyes throughout our process with customers. I'm going to give you just an introduction of who Verkada is, and then we're going to go into a live demo, which Bradley will run for us. So let's go ahead and dive in. Who is Verkada? Verkada was founded in 2016. In San Mateo, California. We had a founder that started with cameras. There's 4 founders. Cameras in a garage. So we are a software first company, but we also provide the hardware. So we'll go into that a little bit as well, but really focused on developing a great software to catch activity in real time rather than react to it, okay? We have become the leader in physical security. I like to joke because I've been at Verkada for almost 2 years now. When I first started, I was, it's a super cool product. I would say we're the leader, and they're like, you can't say that. We're actually not the leader yet. But the last year, we became the leader. So we own 30% of the industry. This shows massive growth from when we started in 2016 to now in 2024, 2025, we became the leader. So it shows we're doing something that's different, that is addressing the needs in our community today. So our mission is just to protect people, places, and things in a privacy-sensitive way. So again, leader in the cloud physical security. We have 31,000 customers. We have 8,000 resellers or partners like Warner. We do not sell direct, so we really rely heavily on these partners to support you guys as well. And then we have 96 companies off the Fortune 500 company list. So again, growing massively. So who is Verkada? We've got cameras. We've got access control. We've got air quality sensors, thinking vape sensors. We've got alarms, guest check-in, mailroom, and intercoms. We actually have a couple other products that are not on this slide exactly, like gateways where, you can get power connectivity to some of those harder to reach areas like gyms or parking lots or areas like that. So now again, all these products, we are not a hardware first company, we're a software. So this computer system in the middle is called our command. This is the brains behind Verkada. This allows you to catch, activity, threats in real time rather than reactive after the fact, okay? So again, we're gonna be focusing on this command system, showing you the AI capabilities of that today. This is our traditional camera system that most of the world is on, okay? Verkada is making a solution for this. So this is your traditional CCTV architecture. You imagine that command room in the 90s where there's, 20 feeds up and you're looking at all the feeds. I mean, I had a conversation earlier that, they've got people to watch these cameras that aren't even doing their job. So think about the ability for our system to then manage that, where you can now actually have better recording, better security. So most of you all probably know with this camera system, you've got your switch. These cameras are connected to your switch. If that switch goes down, all those cameras go down. Typically, it takes a couple days, if not weeks, to get those cameras back up. So that means you have lapse of coverage during that time, okay? So that's a huge point of failure. There's limited storage on NVR systems. MVR systems get stolen all the time. Guess what's on there? That's all your footage on those MVRs that thief can actually look into all that recorded footage. It's difficult to monitor, difficult to access, and then it's also very difficult to access outside of, the organization itself. So off-prem, okay? So this is what Verkada has done, is we have created a consolidated infrastructure where we have all these products under one single pane of glass. We have a 10-year warranty, which I think we're probably the only manufacturer that has a 10-year warranty. Most warranties are around 5 years. I always like to say when you buy a Verkada product, it's the worst that you'll ever see it because it continuously gets better. We push all updates through the cloud so that, if we add on another feature, you are getting that feature added onto your camera system as well. So it's continuously getting better. 24/7 support and automatic firmware updates. I was talking to Mike back here as well. He, a camera went down, they got a camera replaced within the next day. Okay, so that support is awesome, and I think 97% of cases are resolved over the cloud. So then this makes that your partner Warner doesn't have to come out and help necessarily. You can fix it all over the cloud, and then again, predictable cost of ownership. So. We're not the most cheap. We're not the most expensive though. You think about a traditional MVR system, it's going to be a little cheaper, but you will be a little bit more nickeled and dimed for the life of that system. So if that MVR goes out, which it will at some point, you're replacing the MVR and continuously spending cost on your physical security system. So Verkada has, licensures up to 10 years where you don't even have to think about your product for 10 years. You know exactly how much it's going to cost, and that's it. Okay. So we're going to bring all this into AI. The AI versus the Verkada way. We've heavily invested in AI since we've started, okay? We're a young company, again, software first, because AI is creepily cool. I mean, all of us use ChatGPT, I'm sure. So it's like having ChatGPT in our camera systems, okay? Again, we're not just building cameras. We're not just building products. We're building peace of mind, operational efficiency, and then making sure you guys have actual insight for your customers, analytics, things like that, okay? So what makes us different? We've got 3 pillars of AI dominance. First pillar is our full stack control. This means we have our hands in the very start of that product and building that product out with our AI system, okay? This is another diagram that shows that. So we have our services, our cloud-based software added in there, on-device software, and then our hardware. We are creating it from start to finish. Second pillar is our in-house expertise. We have a whole team of engineers. This is an actual photo from our engineer team while they're developing these AI analytics, okay? So they are constantly getting our products better and looking at taking advantage of what AI is doing these days. Third pillar, and I've kind of touched on it already, is our relentless velocity. We were started in 2016 and we are now the leader in the industry within 10 years. There's a reason for that. AI, it's in our DNA. It's not just in our marketing. I mean, it's our blood of our system, okay? This shows a little bit of a timeline. First iterations was motion search in 2016. 2018, we started integrating third-party APIs. 2019, expanding on CV analytics with third-party AIs. 2020 began migrating CV models in-house for advanced analytics. 2022, building our new in-house model program. In 2023, we have motion alerts. This year alone, these are all of what we've come out with. AI-powered search, AI-powered alerts, reverse image search, more people and vehicle filters. You'll see some of these things. Bradley is going to show you some of these things in real time. And I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but this is Verkada's milestones from 2016, okay? This is why we are the leader in the industry. So with that said, we're going to let you see this product.
I want to start just by asking a question. Who here has cameras currently? Okay. Who here has alarms currently? This is a question for you to answer inside your head. Do your cameras and alarms communicate together? And can you leverage both of them to be proactive with a response? this is Verkada Command. So when you log on to Verkada Command, your cameras are going to come up here first, right? You'll always see your cameras. We've got our whole suite of products here in the top left corner. We like to call this icon the waffle. So you can see cameras. If you are interested in doors and controlling your doors, you can manage that through here. Alarms, intercoms, everything is going to be centralized here, like Joy mentioned, with that single pane of glass that we offer. The name of the game here is definitely consolidation. Back to the question that I just asked you guys about your alarms and how your cameras communicate together. With Verkada, that is possible, right? Because we've consolidated that together. And the way that looks is by using part of the camera to partition part of that field of the view to monitor a specific area within the frame, right? Give us a second to load here. So you can see here in our camera views, we've drawn these blue boxes right here, or a line that can be crossed. When the alarm is armed, if someone is in that area, one of our video verification agents is going to verify, is this a human or is this not, right? Traditional alarm systems, what goes on is that a door will rattle when a thunderstorm is happening, or, you know, a raccoon comes in and bites a wire, whatever it is. And then there it is, 2 a.m., it's freezing cold outside, and now I've got to get out of bed at 2 a.m. to see what's going on with my property. With Verkada, we can be proactive about that and let you know in real time what's actually happening and if I need to get out of bed. So an example of this can be seen, an audit log of all your events is always going to be here on the home page. We can see here, where is September 5th? Here it is. So when an alarm happens, you'll get a notification on your cell phone based on your response types. And we can go into that offline here, but I just want to show you the example of when an alarm gets triggered. So you guys saw the box earlier. Right here, there was a blue painted box right here, right? And now we've got that triggered. So what happens, it triggers, a video verification agent is able to click into this video and see exactly what's going on here, right? We can see the demonstration of the guy jumping over the fence, hops into the blue area. This triggers the video verification agent to hop on and verify, is this a human? In this case, it is. So that agent will then take this video, escalate this to an alarm, and then we'll contact people in your organization that you've designated to receive that alert, right? So it'll basically, what'll happen is a phone tree. If Siddhartha doesn't answer, then it'll go to Max, so on and so forth. We can see here that Kusha was the one that was contacted by the agent successfully. Beautiful part about this is that you have insight into exactly what the conversation is. So here you can see the exact transcript of what they discussed on the phone. Kusha saying, yes, please dispatch the police. And then you see the transcript of our video verification agents contacting emergency services, and you can see the exact transcript of what's going on and how they got dispatched. So for any audits that you guys need to do, or just for any clarification on what's going on, you have that here. And then you can see here that the emergency services dispatch was requested by agent and the alarm was resolved by the agent because they're on their way now. While the agent is getting that notification, you're also getting that notification, right? You're getting a text message with a hyperlink on your phone. You can just click it. There's no need to log into anything. You can see the video clip and you can go, oh my gosh, there is somebody in my school, on my property. I need to get out of bed for this, and go from there. So that's kind of how we're proactive in the approach, right? Using alarms and not being reactive and saying, oh, well, my alarm just went off. Now I got to log into my camera system and see what's going on. It's all right here for you, right? For reactive things, when we're looking through cameras and we've got a general complaint about, you know, a gentleman in a red shirt with blue pants wearing a backpack was somewhere on our property. I've got no idea what camera I'm supposed to look at. This is where our AI really comes in handy. I can come up here on the search bar, and this is going to filter through all of our separate cameras that we have available. And I can literally type in here, man in red shirt with blue pants wearing a backpack. I hit enter. It's going to query and search through all of the index footage that we have available in Verkada based on your instance. And it's going to sort through that and give me all the clips available of that description that I just put in our AI search bar. So from here, I can look at that, depending on what time that was reported to me in a general area, I can filter this on the calendar so it's not looking through all of the footage. If I wanted to get really granular and it happened yesterday and I want to search until yesterday in a general time frame of 12:15 to 5:15 p.m. and I apply that, processing the query again, and it's going to pull up all the footage again, and I can hop in here and say, this is my guy. I can hover over the clip and I can see what's going on without actually having to double click into this. And I can confirm, yes, okay, this might be my guy. No, this is not my guy. Let's go through here and look at this gentleman. AI really gets neat here because what we can do is we can clip this and we can go here to unified timeline and we can hover my mouse over this person. We can click on him and we can look at a compiled video frame of everywhere this person has been on our property in that given time frame. So no more searching through your camera saying, let me compile all this stuff together. It's all right here for you, one after the other. And now we can download this, create an incident, and I can easily share this with a police department, with whoever that I need to via email or text message, right? Super simple stuff, very complex at the end of the day, but it makes life a lot easier when we're thinking reactively and we need to find something quick before, you know, this person comes on again. Say this was our guy, we have no idea who he is, and we want to be alerted the next time that he comes on our property. What we would do at that point is go over here to people, and we would go down here to what we call people of interest. So this is for suspicious characters that may have been on our property, maybe disgruntled employees, whatever it would be. You can screenshot their face, and anytime one of our cameras picks up their face, it's proactively letting you know, hey, this person's on your property. They're at this camera. Here's the map of the locations. Go address it. So I can go here, and I can see all the times that this person was recognized on our cameras. Pretty neat stuff. There's a lot more that we can go into. This is really just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot when it comes to door access and ease of use and our environmental sensors and how we can kind of tie all that stuff in together. Thank you so much.
So I'm excited to talk to you guys about AI and gun violence and what we can actually do about it to help better ourselves, keep our employees safe, keep our faculty, staff, our students safe, and also do better for all of us. And so one of the cool things that I get to do is I get to build great relationships with folks like Verkada, as well as Warner Communications. And so as you can kind of see here, we only do one thing, okay? We only do AI weapon detection, that's it. So we are literally one spoke in the whole security wheel. Verkada does so many different things, right? Access control, they do surveillance, they have visitor management. And so all that we do is this one little tiny component, which is one spoke in the entire wheel. And so to put us together with Verkada and Warner Communications, this is, as we say, the triple threat, right? The trifecta, if you will. And so why is a technology like ZeroEyes even required? Well, we all know that gun violence is on the rise, right? I'm going to show you a couple of statistics here as well. But things like this. This was the Manhattan shooting. You probably remember this, what, a couple months ago now at this point? This guy actually, he was originally from California, lived in Las Vegas, drove across the country to New York to go shoot up the NFL office in New York. So this is a very interesting picture because this was then spotlighted on Fox News and they said, look, we got this guy on camera. Why can't we detect him before he actually shoots the gun? And then they actually mentioned ZeroEyes, which was kind of cool. But this guy, bad guy, killed, I think it was 6 people. The Annunciation Catholic School. So this is a school, also a church. This one, you guys probably remember, this was over in Minnesota. And what happened was a guy was peering through a window and shot through the stained glass window and killed kids that were actually praying. Terrible. Charlie Kirk. The list goes on and on, right? I mean, of these sorts of things. These are just some recent ones that are on here. Just a little while ago, actually about a month or so ago now, I was over in Denver. I was actually presenting at a symposium on gun violence in schools. Denver happens to be the poster child of cities and schools for shootings. It's terrible. They've had a ton of them over there. So I was over there to talk about that. And I was actually doing a panel with an organization called Survivor Path. And Survivor Path is actually members of people that were involved in shootings that survived. And they're telling their stories. So we had people from Columbine, we had the principal from Columbine, we had the Aurora Theater shooting, and then the Las Vegas shooting. So I'm there for this topic, okay? I was there the day before, And then on that day, the day before, this shooting happens right down the street from where I was at. It's sad, it's terrible. So I was talking to somebody today about kind of just priorities on what is important to organizations and schools. And this actually came out of a safety committee meeting this year where we were brainstorming, we were kind of assisting with them and just saying, hey, let's just throw some stuff out there. What is the most important thing? What are the topics that keep us up at night that we need to focus on? And this is that list. And what's number one on there? Guns, okay? It's a sad thing that that is the number one thing that we have to keep on top of that worries us the most. So the mayor of Minneapolis, you guys probably saw this guy. He was interviewed several times and he basically said on camera, he said, this is and we need to stop it and we need to do something about it now. We need to take action. And not just talk about it, but we need to actually do something about it. And this is what we need to do something about. The gun violence. This is bad, right? And so I'm not going to go through all this, but you can kind of see we're missing 2024. Why are we missing 2024? Why? Well, because it actually went down, which is awesome. This is mass shootings, okay, which is 4 people or more being shot in a single incident. What about 3 people getting shot? What about 2 people? What about 1? Well, those numbers would be through the roof. So we only want to focus on the bad ones. Is kind of how society is. So the numbers went down a little bit, which is awesome. And we thought that we were making a dent into it. Unfortunately, we didn't. It was just a little blip on the radar. This year, it's going to be far surpassed that, okay? Which is problematic and a sad thing. So when we think about all this, I want to point out one thing. We get asked a lot, like, where do these incidents happen? Is it only in schools? People think it's only in schools, only in businesses. No, it's all over the place. Schools only comprise of 1/4 of them. Okay, so there's so much more out there that's happening that we need to try to figure out some sort of solution to. So what can we do about it? Is there anything we can do about it? Well, we know that there's 2 components that everybody can agree on. One is mental health issues are out there. That's not going to go away. Unlikely anytime soon. The other thing is there are so many guns out there, even with regulation, it's going to be pretty tough to change the behavior of people. So there's this number, 1.2. Does anybody know what that number is? 1.2 when we're talking about guns. Does anybody know what that number is, represents? 1.2 guns per American adult. That's how many are in existence, not counting law enforcement or military firearms. So even if we have laws that come into play, it's going to be very difficult to do anything with the fact that they already exist. So what can we do about it? Well, honestly, there's a lot that we can do. And that's, first of all, we're here, which is cool. Raise your hand if you're familiar with this concept called left of the bang. Left of the bang is a concept of preparation in advance. So this little exclamation mark is the bang, does not necessarily represent a gunfire or a bomb. It represents some sort of incident occurring. And the concept of left of the bang is that we want to do everything we possibly can before the bang occurs to prevent it from actually happening, okay? And this is my good friend Patrick Van Horn. He is the author of the book called Left of the Bang. And so we want to figure out everything that we possibly can do. Now, there are plenty of technologies out there that exist that can help to prevent these sorts of things from happening and also shorten the time frame. First one, there's 3 categories. First one is gunshot detection. Raise your hand if you ever heard of gunshot detection before, right? Okay. You guys heard of Shot Spotter? I think you guys probably are familiar with that here in St. Louis, okay? So gunshot detection is having these microphones that are listening for gunshots, and when they hear them, then they make the detection where the location is at. There's several pros and cons to that. I used to represent a product many years ago that was gunshot detection. Very cool technology, very, very accurate, but also very expensive. And the problem is, it is not left of the bang, it is right of the bang. So someone actually has to get shot first, or a gun needs to be shot off first before you're able to detect it. Next category, concealed weapon detection. If you kind of think about more in the lines of like a metal detector, that would be this sort of technology. That is also left of the bang, detecting before. Challenge is it's only at entry points. And if you're only going to focus on entry points, you're missing a tremendously large area. Lastly, of course, what we do, which is AI weapon detection, utilizing existing cameras like Verkada cameras that are already in place. All we're doing is going to overlay on top of that, okay? And this is going to be visible guns both indoors and outdoors. And of course, it is, as we say, left of the bank. All right, so here's how it works. So ZeroEyes, again, is using the existing cameras. The AI will be able to detect a visible gun, indoors, outdoors, daytime, nighttime, in under a second. Once that gun is detected, we put this red bounding box around it, or green, and we then take a screenshot of what the camera can see. We then send that to an operations center, which is staffed 24/7 monitoring, and all the folks inside there are 100% former military and former law enforcement. Okay, so they have the right training, right backgrounds, been there, done that. Those kinds of folks are in there verifying that it is in fact a gun. And when they say, yes, it is a gun, they're gonna hit dispatch, the big red button, and immediately two things happen. First thing is they're gonna notify the customer of what the shooter looks like, the whereabouts, clothing, and also on a map, it's all gonna get mapped out as well, okay? And then they're also gonna send an alert directly to local law enforcement. So we're talking St. Louis Police Department, county sheriff, tribal police. It just kind of depends on where it is and who has jurisdiction over that, okay? And all of this is gonna happen in a time frame of about 3 to 5 seconds from detection on the camera, human verification, alerting law enforcement as well as you guys. 3 to 5 seconds is approximately how long it takes to get this done. All right, so I'm gonna walk through how this works now. So what are we looking at here? This is not a dashboard. This is just a quick demo screen, okay? So here's a live camera view. There's a guy, the bag of guns right here in the upper left corner. It might be a little bit difficult for you guys in the back to see, but he'll be walking around. We're gonna make the detections. We're gonna take that screenshot, drop it down here, and then this is exactly where my analyst guys in my operations center are gonna be at. And they're gonna be looking and verifying those guns, okay? Let's keep this thing rolling here. All right, so as you can see, detections are being made, and all the detections that are being made, this dispatch button right here, I've got an analyst that's hitting dispatch, dispatch, dispatch. And they're doing that because they're getting a better, clearer, closer image of the shooter's face. And every single time they're doing so, the location is updated on the map as well. So you can kind of see here, this little pin drop is bouncing up and down. Now, as soon as he walks inside the building, a different camera takes over. So people say, what, holy cow. So this gunman's walking in and you just watching him on different cameras? The answer is yes, as long as it has a ZeroEyes license on it. But the answer is yes. And now as he goes inside of a dark office room, the infrared on the camera is working, and this is showing that it'll work daytime or nighttime, okay? Also, by the way, he's transitioning from a long rifle to a handgun, and I've got a demo set up back there. You guys can play with it if you'd like. Later on, just grab a gun and you can stand in front of the camera and you can get detected. But it'll show you the same thing. Long rifle or handgun, it's all the same to us. You will see these additional locations that are showing where the gun was at and how many seconds have elapsed. We're also doing push notifications, text, email, voice calls, etc. And last thing also I'd like to point out is that we can also push everything straight through into Verkada Command. Okay, so this is one security ecosystem. Again, we are one spoke on the security wheel of Verkada. Okay, we sit in there. That's one thing that they do not do out of all the millions of things that they do. They've left that one little crumb on the table for us is what they did. But we're very happy about that crumb. So anyways, you guys get a sense for how that works. Again, total turnaround time is about 3 to 5 seconds. Now, I like to talk a little bit about how AI, so real quick, AI, right? It's like, it's something that gets thrown around so loosely, and to really break it down, it's like, well, what is AI, right? Like, what is it? How does it actually work? Because we're throwing it around so loosely. So I'm gonna humanize this for you guys. So the way AI works is, in what we do, it's called computer vision AI, okay? And in the AI world, there's a saying, you're only as good as your AI database. And in our case, it's a database of gun images. So how do we get these gun images? Well, if you take a look at this green screen facility, there are 13 cameras mounted in this facility. Today, there's over 250. And these cameras, what they're doing is they're watching people walk around like this gentleman right here. We own over a couple thousand guns, different makes, models, shape sizes, 3D printed guns, toy guns, squirt guns, Nerf guns, you name it, we have it. We would walk around this green screen facility, waving around the guns, and we would take video footage of us doing so. We would extract out every frame of every video, of every angle of all these guns and add them to the database. We did that in the early days, 3 shifts a day, 8-hour shifts, so 24 hours a day, and we did that for 4 years straight. And people said, how could you do that and how could you afford to pay people on that? Well, it was really weird and sad, but we started the company in 2019, ready to go to market and take over the school world, protect every school, and then this little thing called COVID happened, right? And then we had nothing but time on our hands. And so literally we did that. But here's what we did. So here's the reality of it. We have created all these 3D images of guns, 3D. So when I say 3D, here is your eyeballs can look at this. This is a toy prop gun, by the way, orange, right? You guys can see it's 3-dimensional. It's, you know, sides, top, bottom, and all that kind of stuff. This is quite different than a 2D image of a gun. Here's a 2D. It's a piece of paper, cardboard. So this is what, like when you do a Google image search and you say, show me handguns, and you do a Google image search, this is what you're seeing is, so if you download that and print it on your printer, that's a picture of a gun. That's this. So this is what everybody else today going forward is using. They're using 2D images as opposed to the 3D images that we're using. And so hopefully that explanation makes sense. That is really the difference between a 3D model and a 2D model, which is what is in existence today. All right. Couple of missed opportunities here. So when we talk about AI and how this works and what we can do to help better society, we can go back and look at incidents that occurred that are ones that something different could have been done. What are the learning lessons here? This is what we call the gaps. And there's many gaps. There's technology gaps. There's mental illness gaps that we could have affected. Here's one. 2023 Michigan State University. Guy walks through with the gun, and real quickly, we're able to detect it. They became a customer after this incident, by the way. This is a real sad incident here, but they ended up tweeting out the picture, the video, 120 minutes after the shooting started. Unfortunately, 5 minutes after it started, the guy was already dead. So it didn't mean anything. Here's another one. This is the reason why ZeroEyes was even started. You probably remember this one. This is Parkland, Florida, the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. 17 people shot, 17 people killed. There is obviously footage of the guy walking in the stairwell. He was in there for 3 minutes. He actually came across a student and he told the student, get out of here. Something bad's about to happen. It's on camera, okay? It existed. And of course, ZeroEyes wasn't invented yet at the time. Here's another one, Walmart. This was the El Paso, Texas. Guy walks in a parking lot with an AK-47 for 7 minutes. Can you believe that? Nobody says anything. Some people say, well, that's just a Tuesday at Walmart. But the reality is nobody did anything. Here's another supermarket here, Kroger. This is not the one in Denver, Colorado, the King Soopers. This was in Ohio. This is very interesting. Guy is arguing in the restaurant, or excuse me, in the supermarket. His supervisor says, go home. He goes home, gets a gun, goes back, parks. We see him walking in there. There's actually off-duty law enforcement in the parking lot that could have been alerted, but he didn't know anything until after it was all done. That one could have been saved. Here's another one, another Walmart. Guy walks in the store, 1 minute, 5 seconds before he starts shooting. Something could have been done there too. All right, so what can we do about it? Got to have a plan. Everybody should have a plan. I think everybody does, but you got to continue to practice it. You should implement some form of gun violence detection technology. And lastly, this is kind of a big one, and this is for all of us. It doesn't cost any money. Mental illness. If you see something, you got to say something. It's very easy to brush it under the rug. It's not my fault. It's not my job. It's not my responsibility. It's all of our responsibilities. And to, in other words, stay left of the bang.
So most organizations aren't struggling to find good technology. Most organizations are struggling to connect the technology together. Almost everybody I work with, they have access control, they have cameras. Most don't have the AI gun detection. They need it. They do. They have environmental sensors, but very few companies have a system that works together under one single pane of glass that operates as one cohesive unit. And the importance behind that is what we just saw, right? The more technologies that are stacked up on top of each other, you're allowing it to be more efficient and cutting down the time to respond, which enhances that safety and security. So one of the biggest things that when I sit down with you guys, we have our customer meetings and we start talking about Verkada or ZeroEyes, the cameras, the access control, it can be a little daunting, right? Like, oh my gosh, that is a big piece of pie to try to, take a bite of. Like, oh my gosh, like how is this going to fit in our budget? This is a big project. This sounds like a 2028 project, not a 2025 project. Some of the key things to remember here is that we can break this down into small chunks, right? In fact, looking throughout the audience, I see some people here that we have deployed a Verkada system utilizing a phased approach, and that's a very popular approach nowadays. So I want you guys to keep in mind with things like this, things can be integrated over time. One door at a time, one camera at a time, one building at a time, making it more easy to manage within your organization and doing it in easier bite-sized chunks that fits your budgets and fits your daily schedule. So I don't want you guys, as you kind of sit here and look at this system, like, oh my gosh, like I have to rip and replace everything. This is going to be a big argument with the corporate office. Take that step back. Let's take a look at your system. We'll see how Verkada and ZeroEyes fits within your ecosystem and then discuss an implementation plan that works for you and your company. That's what we do. Warner's role as your integrator. I mean, this is really kind of where Warner fits in. You guys got to see the cool video from Verkada. You got to see the cool video of ZeroEyes and what they can do and what they bring to the table. What does Warner Communications bring to the table? And I think a lot of you already know. I work with a lot of you personally, right? We review the systems you already have, the cameras, the access control, the alerting tools, and we help identify how ZeroEyes and Verkada fits into your ecosystem. We design the architecture, we handle installation, we coordinate with your facilities team, and we make sure everything is configured correctly. So actually, honestly, that's one of my favorite things about the job. I love being able to, having a chance to sit down with you guys, help build out that system, and that's part of our responsibility with Warner is that we stand there with you, we get the teams involved, and we help design it as a team. You get one partner responsible for the entire workflow instead of juggling multiple components. And this is something I think that looking around the room, I see a lot of directors of facilities and IT. One of the biggest headaches that we experience is having so many different vendors that we have to manage, right? I got a separate guy for access control. I got a separate guy for cameras, a separate company for alarms. And it's really hard to stay on top of. And again, this is one of the beauties of Verkada is that we're able to keep everything under one single pane of glass, one vendor, one manufacturer, and that's Warner Communications. We want to be that person for you. We want to be the person that provides the two-way radio communications. We want to be the person that provides the video surveillance, the access control. We want to be the person that helps you with the PA integration, all of those things. So we are that single point of contact that takes this journey with you. Our team always stays with you after the installation. We help support your system, we troubleshoot, we also help plan for the expansion planning. We're local and we always stay engaged. We're engaged with you on the before, during, and after. We're with you with every step of the way.
Are my current Verkada cameras already set up to use ZeroEyes technology? How is the pricing decided? By the number of cameras, size of school, or how does that work?
The answer is yes, all the Verkada cameras are ready to rock and roll. It does not have to be a specific camera. They're basically all ready to go. Let me at least caveat by saying I believe all the cameras are good to go. Is there maybe one camera or something that is for a specific use that maybe it's not? It's possible. But generally speaking, all the cameras you guys have out there are good and eligible for ZeroEyes. Pricing wise, it's pretty straightforward. I'll just give you kind of the pricing model so you guys get a sense of that. There's going to be a nominal one-time setup fee, which will basically cover Brian and his team to go out there to install a server. By the way, the server is also included in the package, but that gets installed, configuring software, and then also testing of the cameras. So we walk in front of the cameras with fake prop guns to make sure it works. So that's all part of this setup. Once that's done, then you just pay an annual subscription fee per camera stream. And obviously, the more you do, the cheaper it is per license. And the longer contract you do, the cheaper it is per license. And the cool thing is we will match the duration that you have left on your Verkada contract. So if you have a 10-year, you just did it, great, we'll match that at a 10-year. If you only have 1 year left, we'll do a 1 year. If you have a 7-year, we'll do 7 years. So we can do as long as you guys wish on a contract. And of course, like I said, the longer duration, the cheaper per license it'll be. But by the way, people want to know, is ZeroEyes like $1 million? Is it, $1,000? What is it? I can tell you, I won't go over numbers, but it's basically like probably almost all the time a whole heck of a lot less expensive than you actually think. It's not very expensive at all.
Can ZeroEyes help me track potential threats without involving law enforcement?
Yes. The way it works is when ZeroEyes makes a detection of a weapon, we will then do a human verification process through our operations center. We do have some commercial enterprise customers that do not wish law enforcement to be notified. Like, just, you don't want to be notified because you have your own security team. So in those instances, we can turn off the law enforcement communication and only notify you guys. So if that's what you wish to happen, we can totally do that. So it doesn't have to go to law enforcement.
I have more than one site. Let's say theoretically I've got 3 or 4 different locations that I'm wanting to track all under one umbrella. Would Verkada and ZeroEyes be a good solution for that?
Yeah, for the ZeroEyes component, absolutely. So multiple locations. So if you think about like a school district, for example, right? One district, one account, multiple buildings, multiple sites, locations, and that sort of thing. So yeah, we do that all the time. And the setup is actually quite easy for that sort of thing. But yeah, definitely.
And I would agree on that side with the Verkada side. As you know, our command system, we're built for multi-location so that you can view it anywhere. So absolutely.
Can the system recognize a gun from an unknown person versus a known person? In other words, an employee or police officer or security guard that's allowed to carry a weapon?
First of all, in terms of the law enforcement component, like an SRO or on-campus police, ZeroEyes does not detect a weapon, a gun in a holster. Okay, and so we're not looking at that. The algorithm was specifically set up so to basically ignore that. And I was talking about this earlier today. Is it possible, though, that it's in a holster and there's the shape of the gun that can be seen through the holster? It's possible, and then there's a hand on it, so it could be detected. But again, the human verification is the important piece. We're going to clear all that stuff out. So that's one thing. As far as like known, unknown, that's a little bit more on probably the facial recognition side, which I'll let Joy talk through. We do not do any sort of facial recognition. We're FERPA compliant, so we have to deal with that sort of thing. So today we're not doing any sort of facial rec or any of that sort of thing. Not to say we won't do in the future, because there's probably some stuff, some capabilities of tracking and that sort of thing that'll happen next year. But today, right now, yeah, we're not tracking a specific known person based on what they look like.
As far as the Verkada side goes, when it comes to recognizing a person that has bad intentions, it just depends on if you've noticed them on your property before or not, right? If they have been on your property before and they've demonstrated poor behavior and they're a suspicious person or some kind of culprit, you can mark them, like I showed you guys, as a person of interest. And then in conjunction with ZeroEyes, if they are a person of interest, you'll get alerted on the Verkada system, hey, this face is recognized. Oh, by the way, they also have a gun, so they can tie in together. The unknown there with, somebody that you don't recognize, something like a ZeroEyes to detect a gun threat or something like that would be very helpful.
Can Verkada use their check-in technology to track a person's movements throughout my facility using facial or gait recognition or different things like that?
Yes. Once they check in, the typical check-in process is to get a picture of that person's face, right? So then that will record that. If you upload that picture into person of interest or whatever, you can look for that specific person, or you can look at the check-in date time, right? And you can look for that person into the camera in the lobby or wherever they are, and you can use that and use the unified timeline to track where they've been throughout your property for that given day.
What is the difference between how Verkada and ZeroEyes play their role in this overall solution?
Verkada is essentially the foundation, right? You need cameras in order to detect guns with no eyes on it, right? So the whole point of Zero Eyes is let's use cameras and not have somebody constantly looking. Let's use technology to identify guns. But the foundation of that is using Verkada cameras to be able to layer that on top of. Did I miss anything?
I was going to touch on that too, that Brent said a very important point. We will not touch gun detection at Verkada. We are focused on our AI analytics of all of our different product lines, the 8 different product lines. The amount of effort and what ZeroEyes has built, we see that they have taken over that, and we really do work together. So that's something that we won't touch, and we really appreciate our partnership with ZeroEyes for that.
Thank you, Joy. Yeah, so I think what Bradley says is very important. For ZeroEyes to work, we need cameras. And we don't sell cameras, we don't make cameras or anything like that, so we leverage Verkada and their capabilities. One nice thing I just wanted to mention, though, is while we need cameras to make this work, it does not have to be a fixed camera. It could also be one of Verkada's trailers that they have, the new trailers that might go in a parking lot or something like that. It could also be on a drone. So things of that nature, robot dogs, etc. So we just need a camera, an eyeball, right, in order to be able to leverage the AI on that.
Does ZeroEyes detect concealed weapons?
Concealed weapons, no. ZeroEyes does not. We need a camera, and the camera has to be able to see it. If it cannot see it, it cannot detect it. If it can see it, it can detect it. But yeah, 100% not concealed weapons, only visible firearm detection. Awesome question. I would say about half. I think I only say it in that way because in our documentation it says like 25%, I think is what it says, is the requirement minimum. But in reality, it does not need to see the full gun, but it needs to see a part of it. And if you just kind of think of it as like at least half of the gun is visible, then it can detect it.
How does Verkada handle system uptime and reliability? What happens when the internet goes down?
Internet is obviously an important thing when we're talking about a hybrid cloud system, right? When the internet goes down, obviously you're not going to have that live stream of feed if you're remote, right? But over the local area network, you'll still be able to see your cameras. So if I'm remote and I need to look at my cameras and my internet's down and I'm like, what's going on? Don't fret. Your cameras are still recording as long as there's power to them. And as soon as they connect back to the internet, everything gets uploaded to the cloud. So over the local area network, if you're on premise, you're still able to see your cameras. Once the cameras connect back to the internet, everything will upload to the cloud and you'll be able to view it.
And to that point, that is the reliability of Verkada. You know, if you steal an MVR, you have all that footage. If you steal a camera, you have footage of what it recorded that day. However, the stored footage is in the cloud, so it's archived in the cloud. That person, the perpetrator, cannot get that footage, just only that footage from that day.
How does the licensing work with Verkada? What's the cost system look like for you guys?
We offer 4 different license types, a 1-year, a 3-year, a 5-year, and a 10-year. So depending on what your needs are, depending on different purchases, say you wanted to start with 10 cameras on a 10-year license and 2 years goes by, so you've got 8 years left on that license and you want to buy another 10 cameras with another 10-year license, we'll co-term that together. So depending on how much time you have left on your licenses, we've got an equation that'll essentially level everything out where everything is able to be renewed at the same time.